everybody. Welcome back to Leadership in Teams. This is our 12th and final lecture in the series that we have. This is just a wrap-up of where we've been since we started about a dozen lectures ago. If you think about it again, this topic of leadership in teams is tremendously important for everybody. As you go through your career, there's no doubt that you're going to have opportunities to assume roles of leadership, even in your personal lives, whether it's your family that you have, whether it's just some friends that you have, whether it's groups and clubs that you're in, teams that you're on, there are going to be opportunities to assume roles of leadership. So going through this leadership in teams class, we're able to take a look at some of the criteria that make good leaders, some of the things that make bad leaders. And I thought what we do is, in the wrap-up, let's just take a quick look at the many topics that we talked about, and then we'll have a little summary at the end. Besides the first introductory topic, where I introduced myself and the class and our syllabus, the second lecture that we had, the second video that we had, was on leadership and motivation. And that was probably one of the longest ones that we had. That took up a lot of time because if you think about it, if you're a leader, you have to be able to motivate. Whether you're inspirational or charismatic is not necessarily the same as can you motivate people. And we took a look at all sorts of different tools. We started off by taking a look at the importance in a relationship between motivation and morale and productivity. And then we jumped over, we started looking at some of the theories. We started off with Taylor and went all the way to the end where we're looking at, the needs theories, need to achieve, avoid failure and things of that nature. And each one of those theories that we looked at, each one of them gave you some additional tools. You might not like them all, you might not like most of them, but I bet you there are at least a couple that said something that you said, oh, that makes some sense. Hopefully you took note of those, and hopefully you might be able to use those somehow in the future to help to motivate people. Because, even if it's something like you're getting on a bus and, it's jam-packed and you're just trying to get people motivated to move back a little bit to give you room, motivation is a key topic. And some of the tools that we talked about might help you to become a little bit more motivational. The next topic that we took a look at was leadership and change. And think about it, all of us go through change. Whether we want to or not, we end up going through change. And organizations go through change. So if you're going to be a leader, one of the things you're going to have to do is you're going to have to face change. And in many cases, you're going to have to lead your organization through change. So we took a look at, some of the different models. For example, we started off with Lewin, and we took a look at some other things like transactional and transformational leadership and resistance and whatever. Again, some of those things you probably look and say, what do I need this for? But hopefully you saw, as we went through, again, little gems of information here, there, or the other that might help you to lead people, to manage people as they're going through change. Because everybody does, every organization does, and if you're going to be a leader, you're going to have to lead people, manage people going through change. Hopefully some of the things we talked about will help you with regard to that. The next topic that we looked at was leadership and the global perspective, being a global leader. And again, whether or not you end up being a leader of a small shoe store downtown, or whether you become the leader of one of the largest corporations on the Fortune 500 or top 50 or whatever, what you're going to find is that you're going to have interactions with people from other countries in other countries. You make a presence on the web, and the next thing you know, you have an inquiry from Argentina, or you have an inquiry from South Korea. So what are you going to do? How are you going to lead through that period? Furthermore, whatever organization you have, whatever business, you might end up finding that you move business operations over to, include, Italy or, Hungary or someplace like that, Zaire. So again, taking a look at the global perspective, we're able to look at some things that might help make you a better global manager, because as those IBM studies, the Hofstede study said, American management techniques don't do too well overseas. And now you have an idea of different things to look at, how you can analyze the culture, the country that you're in, and hopefully better fit your management style to that, and therefore become a better leader with regard to it. again, you want to avoid that big barrier, that big hurdle, called ethnocentrism, which can be so hidden, as mentioned with regard to my interaction with the German students and the true-false questions on the exam, as well as my wife and I eloped to Ireland, learning to drive on the other side, not the wrong side, but the other side of the road. So again, we took a look at the global perspectives, and then you have the next lecture, so to speak. It wasn't a lecture, you had your quiz 1. I hope you did well on it. If you have any questions about any of your grades in this class, certainly let me know. I'm here to help you, and even though I'm electronic and we don't get together in class, that doesn't mean that I can't help you. Shoot me an email. Let me know you have a question, an issue, and we can either resolve it over email, we can make a phone call, we can text, we can set up a Zoom meeting or whatever. Let's make sure that we answer your questions so that anything that is bothering you right now, we can kind of resolve, hopefully resolve. Well, let's go to the next topic that we looked at. We took a look at foundations of early leadership, and we looked at such things as, are leaders born or are they made? The early great man or great person theory, and we kind of debunked that, I hope we did, to a great degree. And then we looked at some of the other issues, including, the Ohio State studies, the Michigan studies, the grad, etc. that we looked at. And we got an idea of different ways that people can develop traits and develop behaviors that will help them become a better leader. We moved from that, in the next week, we went to Foundations of Modern Leadership, where we looked at more situational type of leadership. And we looked at such things with regard to that as making sure that your leadership style fits the situation, and you don't try to make the situation fit your leadership style. We talked about that Cleveland Browns coach problem as an example of that. And again, this key concept that we mentioned a lot in class, fit, kept coming back. You really want to be able to fit the situation. The best leader is not this type of leader or that type of leader. It's the leader that can fit the situation, that's flexible enough to be able to fit the situation. We then moved from that into power and influence. We looked at a little bit of the difference between influence and power. We looked at where power can come from. We looked at how to use good power and bad power and things of that nature. Just think about it, leadership, right? Doesn't leadership involve a great deal of influence? It doesn't involve a great deal of power and the exercise of power, and sometimes even the absence of power? Absolutely. So then we took a look at power and influence, and then after that, the next week, the next class, so to speak, the next lecture, and it wasn't a videotape, was you had your independent case project that was due, where you went out and you did some research on a leader, and you made a presentation with regard to that leader, and tried to incorporate the various aspects of class, the buzzwords and cases and examples and everything, and tried to show a practical aspect of all these theories that we've been talking about. After that, we went into current era leadership, and we were looking at such things as charisma, and we were looking at things such as being a positive leader, an authentic leader, etc. And those things sounded to me, and I hope they sounded to you, like some really great ideas about being a good leader. Are they the only ones? No. Again, you have to kind of make your own salad out of all these different vegetables, all these different pieces that we gave to you, and pull them together. But certainly it would seem to me that something from current era leadership might end up in your salad or your toolbox. We then looked at other leadership perspectives, we were primarily looking at that, and we were looking at up leaders, the top leaders of an organization, the CEOs, the COOs, etc. What do they do? What are their perspectives? How might it be different to be an up leader as opposed to a regular leader? Hopefully, as your career develops, eventually you will become an up leader, an upper echelon leader. But even before you might reach that, hopefully some of the things that we talked about will help you to better understand your current up leaders, and as you go through and rise up in the career, your future up leaders as well. If you understand them better, you probably can work with them better, and if you work with them better, hopefully it'll be a better experience for you. Your performance will be better, and hopefully you'll be more rewarded as you go through with regard to that. We then took a look at this concept of leading teams. Think about it. Literally, you can't do anything in business anymore on your own. You have to pull together people to help you out. You have to pull together teams. And we talked again about this concept of fit. It's not the individual players or members of your teams and their various talent levels. What really counts is how you take them and use them, how you pull them together into a system, how you pull them together into a team. It's not the parts, it's the system. It's not the players, it's the team. We talked about the importance of that and looked at some of the thoughts insofar as what to do as a leader of a team. Hopefully some of those things will again resonate and help you to become better leaders of teams. We then had quiz 2, which again I hope that you did really well on that, and it was just an opportunity to take all the things that we talked about, particularly since quiz 1, and see if we knew how to answer questions based on them, see if we knew how to use some of those points. Again, hopefully you did well, but if you didn't have any questions, again, please let me know. Shoot me an email, whatever, and we'll take a look at your questions. I might not have the answers that you want, but hopefully I can give you some answers to help out as we go through that. We then took a look at this leadership video that I posted on the web, the link. It was that Pirates of the Silicon Valley movie that I've talked about a number of times through class, looking at how Steve Jobs formed Apple and how Bill Gates formed Microsoft. Two business leaders without a doubt, and they're different. And with regard to their differences, hopefully you can think back and look at some of the things we talked about. Who was more motivational? Who was more of an up leader? Who was more of a transactional or transformational leader? All those different things that we talked about. Who built the better teams, etc. with regard to it. This kind of finished up our interaction. And the final aspect of class, and I'm not sure if you've done it yet or not, is you have your individual team project that's due, your individual team project that's due. And with regard to that individual team project, what you're going to do, if you're taking a look at the instructions or Canvas, you're going to take a look at those two leaders, Gates and Jobs, and you're going to compare and contrast them with regard to all the different things that we've talked about, and hopefully find a way to incorporate that individual case presentation had that leader, which probably wasn't Gates or Jobs, bring that leader in, and also mention something about him or her as well. Again, trying to find a practical application to all these different theories that we had. Well, I hope that you enjoyed the course. This is the first async course that I've ever done, and the saddest part about it is I didn't get to see you folks. I didn't get to interact with you folks. If you sent me emails and made calls, that was great, but being in class and being able to look at you and say, well, what do you think about this, or have you come up to me and say, hey, I don't know about that. That type of interaction I think is really important. But in this day and age, there are certain opportunities that we have for async classes that can be great. They allow you to take the class at any time. You don't have to worry about where you're located at any time. Take it when you want, etc. So these async classes have a lot of really good to them, and they just have that fairly big shortcoming of trying to overcome the fact that we don't have that in-person interaction. That said, as I've indicated from the very beginning, I absolutely love teaching, and even though I didn't really get to see any of you with regard to this, and I'm right now looking into my video camera, etc., even though I saw the camera and not you, that doesn't mean that I still don't want to help you. I truly do. And again, if you have any questions about what we've covered this semester, if you have any questions going forward, let me know. Our term might be ending. You might be concluding the class and the term might be ending, but that doesn't mean that my opportunity to assist you ends as well. I've been teaching for now 34 years, and it's amazing to me how many students from the past will reach out to me. And I haven't heard from them in 10 years, 15, 20 years or whatever, and all of a sudden I get an email, hey Prof, how you doing? And oftentimes they contact me, and that's not just necessarily say hi, that's wonderful, but oftentimes they reach out to me because they need something, oftentimes a letter of recommendation or referral, academic letter of recommendation, academic referral. Sometimes they reach out to me to bounce ideas off of me. Hey, I'm thinking about going to get an MBA or going to grad school, or I'm thinking about going to law school. What should I do? Or I have these multiple career opportunities. Do you see any synergies or something? And I'm always glad to help out. So, whether you have a question now or a question 6 weeks after class is over, 6 years or 6 decades after class is over, assuming I'm still around, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My job is to help you, whether it's going over chapter 3 or whether it's helping you to get a job, in the next decade or whatever. So don't hesitate to reach out to me. I have taught, as I say, over about, I'm now finishing my 34th year. I've added it up. I've had about 10,000 students that I've taught over those 34 years. And I kind of look at all those students as members of my grand academic family. It's a big one, right? When you have 10,000, clearly it gets a little tight in here when everybody shows up for Thanksgiving dinner. But as a family member, as a part of this Filigree academic family that we have, again, I tell you, don't hesitate to reach out to me if you need me. The door will be open for you, just like a member of the family. If I can help you in the future, I surely will. Well, thank you so much for putting up with me, and I'm sure I bored the tears out of you because, again, we didn't get much interaction. But thank you for putting up with me for all these weeks, or at least all these videos, 12 videos that we have. And going forward, I wish you the very best of luck. If you're graduating, I hope there's some great jobs out there. If you're moving on in school, I hope that you have some great classes, some exciting classes coming up, followed by a great career. I know right now we have this pandemic, and some states are closed, some are open. There's so much topsy-turvy, wondering what to do, and is it going to get worse, is it going to get better, etc. So it can be overwhelming. But the bottom line is, with regard to it, I hope everything works out well for you and your family. I hope that you find yourself healthy and safe and happy as we go through this, and the same for all of your family members. But again, thank you so much for spending the I'm not so sure how many hours it was to go through all these videos, but thank you for spending your time with me, and again, if I can be of any assistance to you in the future, please let me know. Thanks again. I'll see you folks later. Bye-bye.